Well, it's Sunday here, and there's actually blue sky outside for the first time in good week or more here. While Europe and US have been going through major heat waves and such, we in the UK have had a lot cooler, wetter weather to contend with, because it's just naturally airflow path and everything. It's just pushed all of the clouds and rain and such towards the UK. So we've had tops, I think, of about 20 to 21 maximum, and minimum of about, where I am, 17 degrees Celsius, just to clarify, not Fahrenheit, to contend with for well over a week or so. And yesterday, oh my God, it was horrendous. It was really dark cloud and raining all day, and I'm not exaggerating by saying all day. I mean like 24 hours of rain. So to wake up this morning and to see blue sky, it's like, wow. So we'll see how long that lasts. What have I been up to? Just, working and everything. And yesterday we had a family get together finally. My dad is getting better and better each day. He says he's feeling about 95% there now with everything, but he has, some days where he's totally fine and other days where he'll feel very tired and everything. But he's doing really, really well. So yesterday we had a family get together at Mum and Dad's, and we managed to celebrate Father's Day, my birthday, my brother-in-law's birthday, and my dad's birthday all at the same time. So 2 months worth of celebrations and that we've missed. We were finally able to celebrate together, which was really, really lovely. And yeah, it was nice. So I got a few things yesterday because we were celebrating my birthday and other birthdays and Father's Day together. So I got a couple of books. I was given a couple of books. So Catherine Cookson related. So the first one is one that I've never heard of, called Pure as the Lily. So, I'm going to add this to my Catherine Cookson collection and get to it as soon as possible. And the other one I'm really excited to read is To Be a Lady, the biography of Catherine Cookson by Cliff Goodwin. Cliff Goodwin, if you look on YouTube for documentaries about Catherine Cookson, or, just generally anywhere, Cliff Goodwin is featured in every single one. And I'm like, that's so brilliant. So I actually have his book now about Catherine Cookson. Catherine Cookson herself wrote a book about her childhood and everything with her mother, called Our Kate, I believe it is. But yeah, this is Cliff's view on Catherine Cookson as a third party, and I'm really quite excited to read his take on Catherine Cookson. And the other thing I got, I don't know how well this is going to show because of the light in here and the glass and everything, but my sister has taken up painting as a hobby this year, and she's been working watercolors, and she's been learning, teaching kind of herself and working with things and building up pictures and that. And I, as you know, I fell in love with Star Wars, so she painted me a Grogu, and I absolutely love him. The light in here, the colours and everything doesn't really do it justice, but also in the background it's purple and gold, like Speak Now Taylor's version, which came out, as you know, I'm a Taylor Swift fan. So yeah, so she painted me Grogu doing his Force thing with his hand, and I absolutely love him. So it was really lovely yesterday getting together with the family, and I got those amazing gifts. So yeah, thank you for the lovely gifts that I got. It was wonderful. But anyway, I'm here to talk about the book I've been reading since you last saw me, which I think was 2 weeks ago. I can't remember. It's been a bit of a blur. But yeah, I'd be here, there, and everywhere. I even had to take a trip to Bristol Bristol, I think was it last week or this? I've forgotten. I had to take a trip to Bristol for work, a conference. So yeah, I've been sort of here, there, and everywhere. But while I've been away, I have been reading The Secret Keeper by Kate Morton, or should I say rereading, because The Secret Keeper was the first Kate Morton book that I ever read, and I read it a decade ago, I'd say. I mean, I have been living here, in November, it'll be 9 years. And in my house, should I say, just to clarify, in my house. And I read this book before I left home. So it's probably like a decade ago. And so it was the first Kate Morton book that I read. My mum had read all of them. She had them all on the shelf. And she just said, just pick one, choose one, just read it. And I picked The Secret Keeper, not knowing anything about it. I just literally just picked it up, read it. And I loved it. And I remember like going downstairs after closing the book, like weeping and bursting into the living room, go, that was a good book, and like proper like crying my eyes out over the end of the book. And then I was like, oh, I'll read some more Kate Morton, and I just didn't get round to it until last year when I read The Forgotten Garden, and then that's led me back here to Kate Morton, where the last book that I read was The Lake House, and now I'm rereading, or I have reread, should I say, The Secret Keeper. So it's kind of, but even though it has been a decade, with, as I explained in previous videos when saying that I'm going to read this book, I couldn't really remember things apart from my feeling that I had when a single line got stated and it revealed everything. And I went, really massive gasp. I remember vividly that feeling. To this day, even though I couldn't remember specific events that happened. And so when I came and picked up this book again, honest to God, I started reading it and I went, oh my God, yes. Oh, that's, yeah, there. And I started remembering all of this stuff of like, I started remembering one day reading this book and being sat in my bedroom. And I had, at the time, did I have the bed that I have now? I think I had the bed that I have now, but it has at the foot, it has, is a wireframe bed with quite a high back, so you can properly lean up against it. And I remember stacking my pillows up, so I was probably leant up against it, but I was cushioned, and having a bowl of mint humbugs, an entire bowl of mint humbugs, and just sitting in my bedroom with like Enya or an artist like Enya singing softly in the background while I'm sat reading The Secret Keeper, eating mint humbugs. Where did that come from? I have no idea. I just suddenly having these like flashes of memory, going back to this book, and the fact, as I said, I couldn't remember specific details about events that happened in this book, but I'm there. Isn't it crazy how coming back to something can trigger memories like that? People have that as well with listening to music and such. And I had it in that moment with this book. It was just like, I was, wow. And as I went through the book, I realized I started remembering more and more and more. It was about events that happened throughout. And I've just realized I'm 9 minutes in and I haven't even told you what the premise of this book is. I am so sorry. So the story of The Secret Keeper is about a woman, in present day 2011, she's an older lady, but in the 1960s, she is a 16-year-old girl. Her name's Laurel, and there is a birthday party that's going to be happening at her family home, and she's got younger sisters, and there's this tradition in the house of there's a certain knife that gets used for every cake, every occasion. She just has this kind of glowing memory of her childhood, and she's 16 years old, and it's, she's in love with a boy called Billy, and all this stuff going on. And then that day at the party, she witnesses a horrific event that her mother is involved in. We then jump to 2011, where Laurel obviously is much older now because she was 16 in the 1960s and it's 2011. She is an actress. She is a very well-known, high-respected, awarded actress, and her mother is dying, and she returns home to, be with her siblings and everything, and basically say goodbye to her mother. And in the process of doing this, she comes across some things about her mother's past. And we also shift into the 1940s to follow her mother and her story, to find out what happened and what the event at the party, the birthday party, actually meant. So that's the premise of the book. Now, yeah, as I was saying, it was so weird about all of these memories that were coming back. And then I remembered, oh, yes, I remember now, because this then becomes that, becomes that, and becomes that. And so seeing the story play out in front of me, knowing what the moment was, I just refer to that as now moment. Knowing what that was, and that gut feeling, it was just so fascinating. It was like I was discovering it again for the first time, but I knew little clues and I knew little things, and the different ways that Kate writes her structuring. It's so fascinating throughout her books that I've read so far. Has been absolutely brilliant. Now, I will say, because the last book that I read was The Lake House by Kate Morton as well, and I wasn't that happy with The Lake House. I mean, it was good, but it wasn't great. Her structuring wasn't quite right, and I actually thought that The Lake House was written after The Secret Keeper when I was reviewing it. So that's, I was a bit like, well, we've seen the goods in The Secret Keeper. It was just such a shame she didn't do it in The Lake House. I was wrong. I got it like completely wrong. It's the other way around. She wrote The Lake House first and then The Secret Keeper. So I feel like, okay, The Secret Keeper, she knocked the ball out of the park. She was so good with the structuring of The Secret Keeper. So it kind of felt like, okay, so she learned her lesson from The Lake House. Now, that structuring kind of thing of the way that she does things, of flipping back and forth and in the way to tell the story, she does that in other books of hers that I've read so far. The Forgotten Garden, this, and The Lake House. She's followed that kind of strange structuring throughout, but The Lake House is the one where she kind of fumbled a bit with it. It didn't quite work for me for what the story was about, but for the other ones, it worked beautifully. And the way that she teases stuff, the way that she drops hints and everything, it's so well done. And as I was reading or rereading, I keep on saying reading, but in a way I was reading it for the first time, but I wasn't. I was rereading this book. I was picking up on those things. I was like, wow, that was so clever. That was so well done, for her to drop those things in the sequences that she did. It kind of felt like, when I was reading this, to put it in another way, you know, when you've had, especially with the weather, what it's been like here in the UK, and the cooler temperatures and all the rain and everything, you know, like when you get in from a very, very long day, like you're tired, you might be a bit stressed, but you know, it's a lot of tension or whatever. You're soaking wet. You've had one of those days. Reading this book was like, after that long day, getting into a glorious warm bath with, you know, the lights down low, you've got some nice music in the back, and just letting yourself just relax and let the heat, you know, the warmth just envelope you and just comfort you. That's what it felt like to me. I don't know how else to describe it. It was just wonderful to read. Going back to the world of the Secret Keeper as well, I found very interesting, because obviously, even though I was, 27, that's when if it has been 10 years, like probably 10 years, since I first read this book, even though, I was an adult, it wasn't like I was like 15, 16 when I read this for the first time. Even in those 10 years of maturity, I saw the characters in a similar way, but yet different. I understood more of struggles and depths and choices. I found Vivian and Dorothy so fascinating in the 1940s stuff. I'm not going to reveal too much because obviously spoilers. But their views of the world, and like the Peter Pan book, it was just like, oh my God. It made me fall in love with them again in a new way. I suppose kind of like if you've had a friend who you thought you knew, you go away for a bit, you come back and you meet them again, and you have that connection, obviously from your childhood, but you see them in a completely different way. It kind of felt like that for me with these characters. I just had this new level of understanding and warmth and respect towards them, an understanding of what people do in desperation, what people do when they're lost, what people do when they're scared. It was quite eye-opening. I had the same kind of experience when I read, or should I say reread, The Lovely Bones, because I was about, oh God, how old was I when I first read that book? 16, I think, 17, or maybe slightly bit older, but in my teens, as it were, when I first read it. And when I read that book, I got so angry at the mum later on in the book for what she did. I'm not going to say what, because obviously spoilers if anyone who wants to read The Lovely Bones or are reading The Lovely Bones when they watch this. I was so angry at her. I couldn't forgive her. I just couldn't forgive her. Then when I reread it when I was in my mid-20s, I was like, I get it now. I get it. And my sister's kind of said similar thing about Tenant of Wildfell Hall, that when she was, in her teens, when she was about 14, 15, when she first read it, she didn't understand the choices that our leading lady makes. And she was wildly in love with the bad guy. Then when she got into her, late teens, going into 20s, she saw the bad guy for what he was, but still didn't quite understand the choices of our leading lady. And then when she became a mother, she went, I get it now. And it was, it completely, her perspective changed with each chapter of her life, really. I just find the fact that words can do that to people throughout the course of their life. The same words on the page can mean something completely different to you at different stages of your life. And yeah, in my experience was The Lovely Bones. And then here, it was just so evocative. Reading this as a woman in her 30s compared to a woman in her 20s, it just, my view on the world changed in the past decade. because naturally that just happens. It just happens in everybody's life. And so reading this story and re-immersing myself with these characters, it was really quite an extraordinary read for me this week, and I enjoyed every single second of it. As I said, you know, her structuring is so much better compared to The Lake House. I really loved exploring the characters. Her settings are always fantastic, Kate Morton, always. And my God, she knows how to write about nature. She knows how to write about countryside and such, and childhood memories, especially how she is able to put stuff in a glowing light and then go, actually, there's something really sinister going on under here that you can't see, but I'm going to make you see soon. It's just, she did that flawlessly in The Forgotten Garden. As I said, she stumbled a bit on The Lake House, but we were back to flawless in The Secret Keeper. I just, chef's kiss, loved it. Yeah, I just kind of feel like this is going to be one of my comfort books now, that if I ever need something, as I said, to just make me feel warmth and comforted, I am gonna have to come back to The Secret Keeper. And I'm really excited about it. I'm really excited that I have another comfort book in my collection. I'm gonna possibly have to do like a video of comfort books for me and see how many of them are actually quite dark and sinister. Oh my gosh, that would be really funny. Let me know if you'd like me to do that. But yeah, it's just, she's so good at writing atmosphere. She is so good at writing nature. She kind of reminds me only a bit, of Laura Purcell, who, you know, I love Laura Purcell. Yes, her last book was not that great, but of what I've read, because she's done another one since, which I haven't gotten yet. Or at least I think she has. Yes, hasn't she? I'm going to have to look that up. Anyway, by the by, she does write, you know, the kind of the darkness undertone. Laura Purcell is complete gothic, so she knows how to go like wham straight in there, whereas Kate Morton, she gives you the light and then she slowly takes you down into the darkness, while Laura Purcell has always got that darkness just sat there like a weight on you. So I kind of feel like she's a lighter side of Laura Purcell, but the fact that I love Laura Purcell, I think that just they go hand in hand with each other, these two writers. Oh my God, yeah, I love it. I absolutely loved rereading The Secret Keeper. It was just wonderful to go back there, and yeah, I loved it. So, time for my usual questions. Would I read this again? Yes. This is, as I said, it's going to be a one of my comfort books now, and I'm very excited for it to be there. It's just, wow. I loved Laurel's journey to find out what happened with her mum and everything in the birthday party situation. Oh, I just loved it. Would I read any more Kate Morton's books? Well, yes, definitely. Would I recommend this to anyone? Absolutely, yes. Please go out and read The Secret Keeper if you haven't read it before. It's absolutely fantastic. So, those are my thoughts on The Secret Keeper by Kate Morton. Have you read this book? I'd love to know what you think. Leave me a comment in the comments box below. Leave me a thumbs up, thumbs down. Ooh, thumbs down doesn't go like that. Thumbs down. Tell you to yell at each side. And I will be back to my thoughts. My next read, which is only a thin book, so probably next weekend, is The Reader on the 627. So yeah, quite excited for this one. It's a French novel. So yeah, we'll see how I go with that. And yeah. Have a good day, everyone. I'm off to my mum and dad's, so I need to dry my hair because it's just wet and looking a mess right now. And I will be back with you with my thoughts on that as soon as I'm done. All right, guys. Bye.